I have been thinking about two things. The first of which is the golden ratio, all of the stuff that we did in the last episode and how else we can convert this into ideas for the Empire, which I have a couple of things already that I can probably catch you up on. The second thing I've been thinking about is agriculture and what we're going to do with all of this space. Because, as I mentioned before, down here on the opposite side of the road, I've started a couple of crop farms, which are going to be old, abandoned crop farms by the time of the present era, but at one time were large-scale farms that were going to feed a city of this size. And I've already started working on the ruination of the road, a couple of areas where, stuff has crumbled, masonry has crumbled underneath the wheels of carts or something like that, and bits and pieces are dropping down there. I have also reinstated the tunnel that I really loved about the previous curve that I built, so that we have a tunnel down through here now. You just walk on through to the other side and you're in the farming district. And that distant pillager watchtower still yet to be converted into a windmill, but on the other side of this ravine over here, and there is a ravine in the terrain, so I have to be a little bit careful about where I cross, because that's a little bit dangerous. We have a sugarcane farm manually growing up over here as well. Don't worry, I'm not looking to undercut anybody else's industry. I'm not going to be starting automatic sugarcane farms or anything like that. I just want to go the manual farming route for now and include a few animals around here, include a few crops, include a few other bits and pieces as I go. But what you saw me standing on at the beginning of the episode is an aqueduct that I have started and have yet to detail, but I wanted to get the main shape of it figured out before we did any more kind of, crumbling and detail and all of the kind of dirt and grime would set in. The stuff that I'm probably going to do in a second pass on this structure, but I just wanted to get it in here right now as a placeholder, kind of what we've done with the road here. But I think my focus for today's episode is going to be on the agriculture of this area, some farms, maybe some abandoned farming machinery, and what has been growing in the meantime. A couple of things that are going to tie together what I've been doing elsewhere in the series, not just with the Empire, but with trading and everything. Because I've been trading Froglights since the early stages of this series, but I've never really established from within this Empire exactly where the Froglights come from. Yes, I have that farm in a basalt delta in the Nether, but I kind of like the idea of them coming from the overworld, because we don't really include the Nether much in the storyline of what we're doing here. The Nether is really just a means to an end. It's either a backdoor for us to get to each other's empires through Nether portals, or it's just a way to get resources from the Nether without it really being part of the story. And for now, one of the things I really like about the idea of this empire having had a golden age and trying to work the golden side of things into the identity of this area is we can make really good use of these ochre Froglights. What I want us to imagine here is that Froglights grow on trees, and that little trees like this can pop up in and around the Empire as though the Froglights are kind of like the fruit, this sort of golden fruit that's been growing up around here, and that the trees have thrived in the absence of people because they can just drop their fruit and maybe, animals eat the fruit, bring the seeds elsewhere, that kind of stuff. And so I have a few different designs for these Froglight trees that I've already made up into schematics. And I'll be honest, most of the reason I've done this is that a lot of the tree designs I'm working with here use fences, and I can never quite get on board with building one of these fence trees in survival. They always look too thin and weedy to me, and it's only in creative, where I just don't have to do the trial and error process of this, that I figure they actually look quite good. So we'll have a couple of these trees lining the pathways around here, and honestly, they also help a lot with lighting. It means that there is a more natural feeling light source around here without the need to spam torches every so often. But that's only one type of Froglight, and out here on the agricultural side of town, I want to build a Froglight orchard kind of thing. Like, we're going to have vineyards and stuff around here. We're going to have wine grapes growing on the slopes here, but down here, I kind of want there to be like an apple orchard, except instead of apples, we're going to be growing Froglights. And maybe at that point, we'll establish a shop here where the other empires can come and trade for Froglights if they want them whilst I'm not around, because I'm going to be on and off the server for the next little while. We got some family in town visiting, and I really want to be able to spend a bit of time with them. So my third design for a Froglight tree is going to be a little larger, and I think we'll do one that's even larger than this to really give the idea that these are bountiful and plentiful here on the borders of the Empire. But that, as an example, ain't half bad. And I think we can do a couple of other variants on this, but I want to get some trees up and around here. I think this place just looks so Minecraft right now. It looks very naturally generated with trees kind of sparsely around here. I want to have them in organized rows, so that they're growing organically, but they're still growing in areas where farmers would make sense to come and gather all of the Froglights, but then maybe we can seed one or two here and there, some of the smaller ones growing up where the seeds have dropped and planted themselves over ages past. That does mean I'm going to have to spend a fair bit of time taking down all of the natural acacias, so I might as well do that now, but I think we can replace them with a bunch of Froglight orchard trees, which are going to look really nice in this space. And we can also start to grow the other varieties of Froglights as well, since these are the ochre type of Froglights, but we don't have any of the verdant or pearlescent Froglights planted around the center of town. And I think the ochre ones are going to make the most sense for the golden era of this empire, but I like the idea of having the other Froglights out there in the orchard as well. And you can really see the tree from a distance. It's going to provide a nice, healthy brightness to the area. And a couple of days and several cups of tea later, here we are looking at a few changes. First of all, I've started planting some trees. They're going to look a little different from the ones around here in the savannah because I like the idea of there being like a colder slope of the mountain where some more pine trees and spruce trees are going to grow. And I've used a variety of leaf colors. We've got some birch and some spruce in there, but I wanted something that looked significantly different from the yellow color of the savannah around it. And I've even started working in a little bit of basalt and tuff just to cool down the side of that hill a little bit, give it some of the cooler tones of these stone types and allow that to feel like it blends upwards into the terrain. And I'm going to work on a few other details of that area because I want it to be a walk up that hill. There's going to be a winding path past the aqueduct encouraging people to go there up onto the ridge of that hill where I expect there'll be a reservoir or something like that people can see where the water comes from the aqueduct. And maybe that's going to lead around to other things that'll be built on the nearby hilltops. But for now, I like it as a framing device of sorts for the aqueduct. It kind of feels like the aqueduct comes out of nowhere right now, while it doesn't really have anything to come from or anywhere to go to. And we'll probably put some similar trees on the opposite side as that hill steepens over there as well. But it's going to mean taking out some of the trees that are in the foreground, maybe rebuilding them as custom trees in the meantime. But for now, I've made a couple more changes to the farming sector just over here. Now, as you go through this tunnel, you'll see that there is a dry stone wall separating these different fields of wheat. And the wheat is going to stick around for now. We might end up putting some other crops here as well, but I will need a lot of wheat to craft pack mud blocks for elsewhere around the ruins. I'm going to be using mud and mud bricks quite a lot, so it made sense to have a decent supply of wheat. And at the top of this, one of our Froglight trees, giving off a bit of light, making this look like a bit of a landmark. I shifted one of these acacia trees over so that at night you can clearly see the path up here, lit by this almost as though it's a lamppost. And I've expanded the sugarcane field over there, although I haven't done a whole lot with it yet. And we can finally start talking about this in just a second because this has been shown on camera. But the other thing I've done, if we turn around and look in the opposite direction, is I have expanded our orchard of Froglight trees, not just to the ochre Froglights, but we are now looking at the pearlescent and verdant Froglights. And I decided that these are almost going to be crossbred out of different styles of tree or different leaves of the tree, indicating that these were once different varieties. But through whatever, plant life engineering that the people who've colonized this area have brought with them, we've been able to magically transform these into Froglight trees, not just for the ochre Froglights, but one here for the pearlescent Froglights and one here for the verdant Froglights. And I wanted each of these trees to really reflect the type of Froglight that grows inside there. So naturally, the pearlescent Froglights having that purpley pink border to them made me think of azalea leaves and flowering azalea. So while this looks very different to its neighbor over here, which has that more yellowy green kind of leaf going on with the mangrove leaves and matching the biome color of the savanna, it felt more natural for these to be grown in a way that included those purple accents elsewhere in the leaf, in the foliage. So I thought that was kind of cool. Plus, we've darkened the trunk a little bit using some spruce stripped logs, and I think that really fits this style of tree, this color palette that we're working with. I am planning on terraforming some of the terrain around here a little bit, maybe adding in some moss or mud or something like that, so it feels like this area is still sort of fertile, and maybe explains why these trees are still able to thrive despite having been left alone for a while. And finally, this one over here, this is stripped birch logs inside of there, a little bit of oak reinforcing it down here at the base, but stripped birch and birch leaves surrounding the verdant Froglights. And I like that a lot. And each of these has its own different style. So this one starts out with flatter canopies and a little bit more of a mushroom top kind of feel. This one is just kind of sprouting in all sorts of different directions and creating these smaller kind of bulbs where the Froglights hang out. And these ones are in slightly larger clumps like that, slightly larger clusters. So I've come up with maybe 3 different types of tree that might grow each of the different kinds of Froglights. And now my plan over time, probably not all in this episode, but we might get a few more done here in a second, is to populate this area with more of these trees. Maybe initially grown in some neat rows, but maybe we'll have a couple of saplings that have dropped off and started growing outside of the regimented lines that you might find them growing in a natural orchard. But the overall impression that we get, especially from this part over here, is that the area has a bit more diverse biology to it, and that's what I like about it. Having a bit of a different vibe to it than just a standard savanna is really going to feel like this place is set apart by that. And I want this to feel like an area that could have sustained the population of a city of this size, which it isn't much right now, but we're going to be building a few more buildings in here. Speaking of which, not much has happened down the avenue, but I've started carving out the facades of some of these larger buildings, basically just creating some archways. Maybe these will end up being worn carvings of some kind, or maybe we'll end up doing something else with them and turning these into more like windows, as though these are guild houses or merchant houses, guard houses, that kind of thing, that would be best served by being close to the entrance of the Empire. But having got some sleep, we now finally get to wander on down here. Is that Catherine's banner? I think that's Catherine's banner. I don't want to touch that chest, just in case something weird is happening with that chest. I'm not certain, but this is what I'm here to look at. This is False's air balloon, and it looks like False was going to be using this to sell some iron out of. Iron sales are apparently coming soon, which is good, because I need a bit of iron. I definitely will need a little bit of it. I wonder if there's anything up here in the balloon itself as well. It certainly seems like there are chickens, that's for certain, and an item frame in here, but nothing to steer this with. I do love the hot air balloon design, though. It's such a cool approach to this. And having taken a quick look down the rest of the bridge, it seems like we don't have anything else that we need to recap over here, but I'm very excited that False has contributed to this. Hopefully the banner here means Catherine's been over here as well and is going to consider putting something up here, although who knows. And sooner or later, I really need to build something on this side of the bridge so that it has another off-ramp that leads down to the scenery over here, maybe. But yeah, that can happen in time. We've got plenty of time ahead of us. For now, it is time to put my gardener's hat back on and build a few more of these trees. We need to build this up into a livelier orchard than just these 3 individual trees, and we can work on a few variants of the trees whilst probably rotating a couple of these so that they look different from different angles. Saves me designing a whole bunch more of them in creative or on the fly here. But I think we're going to do that in the form of a time-lapse. It's been a little while since I've been able to sink my teeth into something like this. Let's get to it. look at them. Look at them! Oh, they're so good. So I admit I may have buried the lead on this video slightly because while I love the Froglight orchard, I'm so happy with how this came together. Sadly, one of them is still a tree stump because my diamond hoe is on its last legs. I really need to go and repair this thing, and I didn't have enough time whilst I was doing all of these trees on a live stream to go and repair it, harvest some more birch leaves because I had precious few left of those, and build another tree. But in the meantime, I wanted to introduce you to these. So a little while ago, and once again I have to credit my Twitch chat and probably a couple of people in the comments section on YouTube with the creation of these. A while ago people said, hey, wouldn't it be really funny if, because you're bringing this extinct empire back from the past, what if we had a mount that did the same thing? What if my horse was actually a dodo? And so I have brought a few of these over to the Froglight field where they're going to be in pasture over here. They're going to be, back from the pasture, I suppose. They're going to be roaming around here. But, of course, I need to tame a couple to see which one is going to be my mount. Now, I did end up taming another one already, but it was a little bit slow, and I need to figure out exactly which one that was. So I'm probably going to hitch them to a fence post for now. I've got loads of leads, and we will do our best to decide which is the best dodo for me. This one over here I have not tamed yet, and it's going to take a couple of attempts, I imagine, but looks like a nice, healthy specimen, at least 10 hearts, which is a pretty decent average. I also love the fact that when these dodos rear up, they spread their little wings like that. They're clearly flightless, of course. This isn't really going to help. There we go. All right, we can stick a saddle on you. Ah, seems like a decent turn of speed, and I love the legs as they go. That's so nice. I love this so much. Might have to do something about my elytra because it does kind of the tail of the dodo does kind of stick through the back. But oh, I love the little wings going as we run. That's so sweet. All right, let me sleep for the night and let me see this dodo in the light of day. Obviously, I don't have a real way to test the speed of these. We might have to set up some kind of race course, and yeah, the reversing speed is not much compared to the forward speed, but this definitely feels faster than the one that I tried earlier. And oh, we seem to clear the chests nice and easily. Oh, this one has a good jump on it as well. Let's see if we can jump up onto this tree. Yep, dead easy, not even like a full jump at that point. I reckon probably about 3.5 blocks height. That's not too bad. You know what? I'm almost tempted to claim this dodo as my official mount, but I have a couple of others in here to test, and who knows, one of these could be an absolute rocket. This one right here is the one I've already tamed, so we can saddle this one up, and doesn't the saddle look so great as well? I love it. It's like a little waistcoat for them. Anyway, as you can see, this one a little bit slower. Still a decent jumper from what I remember, still got a decent amount of hops. The main advantage to this one, look at that health. 12 hearts worth of health is a pretty substantial dodo, considering that they were until recently pretty much extinct. So I'm gonna have to maybe put you down the other end here, maybe kind of in 4th position. This one right now is number 1, but this one I just don't think is fast enough for me to really want to drive him around everywhere. Let's give these others a try. Obviously we'll need to, oh, this one has 13 hearts. If you're fast, this could be a winner. Definitely not all that keen on letting me ride, but I wonder what the speed is like here. Ooh, this isn't terrible. It's not bad, and I feel like the jump is going to be the bad aspect of this. Although, yeah, we can't quite get up into the tree. So maybe a 2.5 block jump, but not 3.5. So much health, though. 13 hearts is pretty good. And oh, this is something else I should note. There is a bit of a glitch going on right here where some of the dodos, not all of them, but some of them, when you run on the dodo that you're mounted on, they stamp their feet in time with your running animation. So the running animations are kind of linked, and I think that's kind of adorable, actually. I sort of want to keep that as a thing because it really does look like they're doing that stampy dance that birds do when they're trying to get worms or something to eat out of muddy soil. It kind of looks like they're standing still and doing that little stampy dance, and I wonder why this one isn't doing it. If they're in the middle of another animation, they don't tend to do it as often, but I do think it's kind of cute that they all kind of sync up like that. So far, it's really between these two, though, about which one is the better. I think that one, unfortunately, is just a little too slow. We've got 2 more over here that we can give this a try with. Let's see. What about you? This one is not as hardy as any of the others. 9 hearts, it looks like. Let's see if we get anything decent in terms of speed or jump. Okay, we have hearts. Let's see. And, oh, Oh, really slow. Actually kind of slow as well. And I wonder about the jump. Oh my goodness, this one this one is still extinct, I think. Oh, it can't even get up 2 blocks worth of jump either. Oh no, I'm sorry, poor thing. No, we shouldn't even be riding you. Let's attach you to a fence post over here, and you'll be left to just roam the Froglight orchard and have your pick of the best worms. But unfortunately, this is not going to be a mount that's going to win me any races. Our last candidate is over here. Let's see if this majestic beast will give us any better results. Looks like 10 hearts, nice healthy Dodo, and with a saddle on, pretty average running speed, it looks like. And let's test the jump real quick. Let's find a tree that we can hop over. Yeah, this one can get a 3-block jump, maybe 3.5, but honestly, yeah, I don't think that's my priority right here. I think, honestly, we have nailed it. A solid number 3 right there. But out of these two, which is going to be my preference? Honestly, I think while this one has 13 hearts and is pretty hardy, is pretty fast, I might need to test the two of them against each other in some sort of race. I kind of prefer the all-rounder, and I don't think it's really right for me to take the fastest, the best Dodo out of, like, the breeding stock, I guess, like, out of the little family of Dodos that lives here. I like this guy. I like our first little friend over here, and I think if we take him for a run, he's probably going to give the others a run for their money. He's a very good jumper, I think a decent runner, and overall, I just like the look of them. I really do like the look of all of them, and we're not going to have too many variants of these, of course, because, you know, bringing just one type of Dodo back from the dead is quite enough. But as we develop the orchard a little bit, we are going to have a few more of these little fellas roaming around, and I think this one is going to be our mount of choice. This one is going to be our personal transportation if we feel like taking a long trip across land. And so it is with great honor that I bestow upon you the name Winchester. I just like the name for a Dodo. It feels like a, you know, stuffy old man kind of name, and I just kind of like that. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is Winchester. He is my mount. I love him. I will cherish him forever, and he is going to be the, I guess, little mascot here of the ancient capital. I like the fact that we now have Dodos as part of the lore of this place. It feels so cool. Right, folks, I think with this majestic beast now as our closest friend, I think it is probably time for us to sign off right here. So thank you so much for watching this episode of Empires. I hope you enjoyed the Froglight farm. I hope you enjoyed the first look at our family of Dodos, and Winchester is off moonwalking over here, finding all the good worms to eat. Thank you so much for watching. My name has been Pixlriffs. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you folks soon. Take care. Bye for now.